Hello everyone, welcome to a reading vlog. It's been a while since I've done a reading vlog. It's been a while since I've done a readathon. I tend to do reading vlogs for readathons and it's readathon time. So this weekend is the Bookly Readathon, and Bookly is the app that I use to track my reading. So it's like a timer thing. You time like your reading sessions and you can log your thoughts and quotes and interesting words, that sort of thing, as you read, and then it gives you like an estimated reading speed for the book. And they run quarterly readathons, and it is their winter one this weekend. And the goal for the 4 days is to read minimum 400 books, but the top achievement is like, I want to say it's like 750 or 700, something. It's a lot. It's a big number is the top goal. And I do have quite a busy few days, so usually I go for the top number. I'm just going to go for 400 this time. I'm just going to keep it simple, try to read 400 books between now, it's currently Thursday evening, and Sunday evening. So the first book I've picked up for this readathon, it took me so long to pick this book. So much of my morning was spent worrying about which book to read. I don't know why I got really like worked up choosing a book, and eventually I found the perfect book for this readathon. I don't know why I haven't been feeling Kindle books recently. I've been drawn to the physical thing. And then everything I picked up, I was like, oh, what if it's really slow paced? What if I don't like it? What if what if I can't get into it and it takes me the whole weekend to read this book and it's not even enough pages? I was like, wait, I'll just read the next book in a series where I know that A, I'm going to be able to read it fairly quickly for the number of pages, and B, that like I'm going to be in it, from the get-go. I'm going to be stuck in the story. So the first book I'm reading for this readathon, which may be the only book, who knows, we're going to go on this journey together. The first book is Hidden Warrior by Lynn Llewellyn. I say this every time I show this series in a video. These covers are they're very unnerving. They put me on edge. So I'm just trying to read it and not look at the cover. So you can all look at the cover, and future editing me can look at the cover. But right now I'm looking at you, not at the cover, or rather at myself, but so this is the first book I'm going to read. It's the second in a trilogy, which is a spin-off to a series. So this follows Tobin, who is a prince, sort of. You have to read the series to find out why, sort of. The prophecies are happening. They're coming into their inheritance and prophecy fulfilling, and there's dark arts and all sorts of ghosty things going on. As you can tell, I've not read very much of it. It is currently 10:30 on Thursday evening, and I've read 46 pages. So only another 354 to go before I complete the readathon. Hopefully, I'm going to try and read some more now before I go to bed. If I could read for like a solid half hour, I don't know where that will get me to, but it will get me further. Maybe a bit longer, we'll see. I'm going to try and read some more of this. So I hope that you're all having a lovely day. I will catch you up probably tomorrow with a reading update. Good morning-ish. It's not quite the morning anymore, but it's before lunch. Lunch has not occurred, so we're going to count it as the morning. So quick reading update for you all. There we go. I have read another, let's see, I'm up to page 207. So I read about 150 pages since last night. I read about 100 last night, about 50 this morning. I'm going to try and read some more before I head out to work in a little bit. And it's funny because it's a fast-paced read in terms of how quickly you turn the pages, but a very slow-paced story. Like, not much is really happening. It's mostly just like character musings and discussions and developments and things, which I think is quite well, I guess not that unusual for fantasy, but there's usually a bit more plot in fantasy. But I love a plotless book, so I am enjoying it, even if it is a bit weird. But I was expecting that because the previous book was a bit weird. So yeah, that's where I'm at with reading. I've got a couple of work little bits and bobs to do before I go to work. So I'm going to read a bit, going to do some work, do my COVID test, all negative. Whoop, do my daily COVID test. So we're all good. I hope you're all having a lovely day. Today's Friday. I forgot to tell you it's Friday. It's Friday. And I will update you later. Hello. Good evening. Not much has changed. The lighting's changed. I've gained frizz. Not much else has changed, except remember yesterday when I was all, oh, I don't have much time to read this weekend, so just gonna try and read this one book over the 4 days, and that was the end of day 2. And I've read this much. I've read up to page 406 over the last 2 days. So that's probably about 300 and... No, I read about 100 pages yesterday. So that's probably 300 I read today. And I'm hoping that I might actually be able to finish this tonight. According to Bookly, I've got 42 minutes left worth of reading based on my average reading speed. It's a quick read. It's a quick read. But I thought it would be, and it was. So I'm going to try and finish it before bed. That's the plan. That is the plan. Who knows what I'm going to read tomorrow? Haven't thought that far ahead. I should probably stop neglecting my NetGalley shelf. I feel like all I ever talk about is NetGalley. It consumes my brain a fair amount. I'm enjoying this. Things are happening. More things are happening. It's still mostly character driven, which again, I enjoy character driven books. But things that should be happening aren't necessarily happening. So I've got 150 pages left-ish. And I don't know. So the main character, Tobin, without spoiling anything, or basically, he's just having like a constant crisis. They're just having a constant crisis. Specifically, a gender crisis. At the end of the last book, and it was not a spoiler because we knew about it from the start. But Tobin found out that their gender had been like magically altered. So they were born female, but because there was a prophecy against girls and girls were being killed off, then magic was used to make them look male on the outside. And they found out at the end of the last book that they are in fact female, and have spent most of the, understandably, have spent most of the last 400 pages in crisis mode. So I'm intrigued as to where this is going to end up. With Lynn Llewellyn, it's not always going to be the obvious one, I'm still recovering from books 4 and 5 in the Night Runner series. That was a ride. So who knows? Who knows? Obviously, I can't really tell you what happens at the end because that would be spoilers. But I will probably let you know tomorrow what my final thoughts were. I probably won't do a in my pajamas makeup plus face update. I don't think that's going to be the one. But I'll probably let you know tomorrow, if I do finish it tonight, what I thought. So that's my Friday evening update. I'm going to get ready for bed, finish this, and then I'll be 550 pages into the readathon. Hello everyone. Time has passed. It is now Sunday. Yesterday was a very busy day. Saturday, I did come home briefly in the middle of the day, but really I was out from like 8 AM to nearly midnight. So I read a grand total of 12 pages yesterday. But on Friday, I did finish Hidden Warrior before I went to sleep. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. The end was quite weird, which I always knew it was going to be. I said it would be weird. And it was weird. Good, but weird. And I mean, what I always find with Lynn Llewellyn's books is they're so readable. The characters are so great. It just kind of sucks you into the story straight away. And so I really enjoyed like the actual sitting down and reading of this book. The actual reading experience was really great. The plot, I mean, there wasn't a huge amount of plot. This is the second in a trilogy, and I feel like the middle book of a trilogy, 9 times out of 10, is getting everyone where they need to be for the final book in the trilogy. And that was kind of what this was, which is fine. There was a lot of character development, a lot of different interactions and things going on. But yeah, I think I was thinking about like this versus Night Runner, which is a series, the other series by Lynn Llewellyn that's in the same universe. And I think like I just prefer her sort of because this is set in like the court, you know, it's very like royal maneuverings and politics and things, whereas the Night Runner series is I mean, it's the first book is literally called Luck in the Shadows. It's very much more, it's much more sort of the underworld of this fantasy world with a bit of the sort of court and politics and things as well. And I think I prefer her writing on that than on these, but I did really enjoy this. So yeah, 4 stars, and it was 551 pages. So smashed through that 400 page. And I started reading a new book last night. I only read the introduction, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to stop neglecting my NetGalley shelf. So I'm reading Worn by Sophie Thanhauser, I think is her name. And it is about the history of clothing and how, it's a non-fiction book about how our relationship, humanity's relationship with clothing, the materials used, why the materials were used, how the economics of clothes, I guess, as well, the sorry, the environmental impact, all of those things. So I think it's sort of a history of our relationship with clothes over the last 400, 500 years or so, which I think is going to be fascinating. It's never occurred to me to pick up a book about clothing before, but I really enjoy watching like historical dress people, you know, people like Bernadette Banner, people like that who are really who are all about sort of historical clothing and sometimes reconstruction, sometimes the history of it and all of the things that go around with it. I find sort of the anthropology aspect of history and culture, etc., really interesting, and clothes are a part of that, which I think is really cool. So when it came up on NetGalley, it was one of those where you like get an email promoting it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a go. And so far I'm really enjoying it, but as I say, I've only read the introduction. So it's currently, it's 9:54 in the evening. I only got back an hour ago. I seem to somehow have a social life, which baffles me as much as it does anyone else. So I'm gonna see how much I can read this evening. I've got about 140 pages if I want to get to that 700 page mark. I don't know if that's possible in 2 hours with a non-fiction book, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm just gonna sit and read and enjoy it. So I probably won't update you again today because I will be in my pajamas in bed, not looking presentable to the world. So I'll have probably a little wrap up tomorrow to let you know what my final statistics were and my thoughts on the book. I hope you're all having a lovely day, and I will catch up with you soon. Hello. Please excuse the wet hair, still drying out. Today's Tuesday. I'm sorry, it's been like 2 days, but quick little wrap up for how Sunday night's reading went. So I basically just like sat down and powered through until midnight, and at about 5 minutes to midnight, because I'm reading on my Kindle, so I was using like the app to calculate the pages by the percentage, if that makes sense. So about 5 minutes to midnight, I got to the end of a chapter and I was like, stop, see how many pages I've got to, and my total for the readathon was 699. So I read one more percentage before midnight, which got me to 703 because it was 4 pages per percent. And reached the top tier goal page thingy of the readathon. Yay! Which I honestly did not think I would do. So I'm so chuffed with that, even if I did sort of not really sleep very much when I should have on Sunday night. So a little bit about what I did read of Worn. So I'm about halfway through now. I read some more yesterday. I'm really enjoying it. It's very readable. I think sometimes with non-fiction books they can be quite dry, but this one is very sort of absorbing and readable, and really fascinating. It's all about the textile industry, the clothing industry, sort of divided up by different fabrics and also the eras of those fabrics. So like linen was first because that's the kind of oldest fabric, and then cotton, and then silk is kind of where we're at the moment. And it's just fascinating. And the amount of things, I think what I find really interesting is how clothing and fabric is so important to humanity and to society, and has been forever. And, you know, talking about how the invention of string is just as important as the invention of weapons, because that's how you make like fishing lines and fishing nets and the things that you need to make a boat and all of those things. And how it's not really discussed in the same way, and why that is, hint, patriarchy, spoilers. And yeah, I'm finding that really fascinating to see how much human evolution sort of is based on fabric production and the history of fabric production, which again, spoiler alert, it's all terrible. But I don't think this has ever been an ethical industry. That seems to be the takeaway so far of the book. And also like how clothing and fashion versus just clothes and the changing attitudes towards that. So where I got to in the readathon was just the start of discussing silk, and then I read a bit more yesterday talking about the way that silk is used in French fashions in the French court pre-French Revolution, and how that has sort of influenced and created the fashion industry that we know today, the idea of having seasons and things coming in and out of vogue, and sort of clothing marking you as a sign of being in a particular group of people, a particular class of people. So yeah, it's very interesting. There are a couple of things that seem a little far-fetched, but they're mostly like just small sort of theories that I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily true. But most of it clearly very well researched, very interesting, very important as well. I think it's a good contribution to sort of discussions about human history. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the reading vlog and go and edit it, try and post it today, because I left things to the last minute again. So I hope that you've all had a very lovely weekend, and I will speak to you all soon. Goodbye.